Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Crypt13, and in today's video, I'm going to be looking at her damage output when we're using various different artifact sets. Right now, her commonly recommended artifact set is the 4-piece Crimson Witch set, so we'll just see how good it actually is, or maybe isn't. So before we actually get started at looking at the numbers and the charts and graphs, let's just look at the brief idea behind why you would use each artifact set. The first artifact set that you would use is the Lavawalker set, and this gives you a 35% damage bonus to enemies affected by Pyro. And the reason behind using this set is because her E skill converts all of her attack damage into Pyro, so she's going to be applying Pyro to every enemy she hits. So basically every time you hit the enemy, you're going to have an extra 35% damage bonus. Some people consider using the 4-piece Heart of Depth set, and if you use this set, the 15% Hydro damage bonus is obviously wasted, but it's going to give you a 30% damage boost once you activate her E skill. The 15-second timer will also last the entire duration of her E skill, and a little bit past it, but this set does not boost the damage on her burst, so the thought is that a 30% boost to her normal and charge attacks is going to be enough to justify the lack of boosts for her burst. The next set is the 2-piece Crimson Witch with 2-piece Noblesse, and the thought here is that you want to go for a nuking playstyle with massive scaling on her burst to mitigate the lack of boost from her normal and charge attacks. We get a 15% pyro damage buff, but Noblesse will only give us a boost to her Spirit Soother. Is the 20% boost to just her burst enough to make this set good? That is the question that we are looking to answer. The next set is a 2-piece Crimson Witch with the 2-piece Gladiator. Most people would think that attack percent is very bad on Hu Tao, so I'm throwing this set in for comparison purposes. We'll see just how ineffective attack percent actually is. The next set is the 4-piece Gladiator set. This is the same thought as the 2-piece Crimson and 2-piece Gladiator. No pyro damage bonus here, but we're getting a 35% damage bonus to her normal attacks, which is theoretically a big part of her E skill combo. So you would think that a 35% damage boost to just her normal attacks is way better than a flat 15% to all of her pyro damage from a Crimson Witch set, right? In theory, I think yes, but we'll see if that's enough if we don't boost anything else. The next set is 2-piece Crimson Witch set with 2-piece Wanderer set. This set is going to boost our Elemental Mastery by 80, and we'll want to see if that boost in Elemental Mastery boosts our reaction damage enough to justify the lack of boosts in comparison to all of the other artifact sets. And then lastly, of course, is the 4-piece Crimson Witch set. This is supposed to be her best artifact set, even though we don't get the full benefit from the 4-piece set. It gives us the 15% pyro damage boost with an extra 7.5% from one stack of the 4-piece effect. Then the third part of this set increases our vaporize and melt damage by 15%, which is often overlooked but needs to be considered as elemental reactions is a big part in how we deal big damage. It also increases our overloaded and burning damage, but that's not used as much in the late game, so I'll pretty much be ignoring that for the most part. So let's actually see how each set performs. So here are the numbers, and I've separated it into two different charts. One that shows melt and vaporize without her elemental burst, and one with it. This is important because that skill really pushes the boundaries of her damage, but it is not always available if you don't have energy recharge or a team comp that generates a lot of elemental particles. And like always, numbers don't tell the whole story, so let's think about how each set would affect her playstyle. The first is 2-piece Crimson with the 2-piece Gladiator set, and this actually ranks about 3rd place when we don't include elemental burst, vaporize, and melt reactions. This turns out to be a pretty consistent set, and this is probably because every part of her kit is being slightly boosted with this artifact set. So overall, it's not a terrible choice. Next is the 2-piece Crimson with 2-piece Noblesse, and this one ranks on the low end when we're not looking at the chart with elemental burst reactions, which is obvious because Noblesse only boosts the damage of her burst. So if we take a look at that chart, it ranks higher. But this means that you're going to need some energy recharge to actually make this work, because if you don't have it up every time you use your E skill, then you're not actually getting the damage this chart is supposed to represent. Additionally, you'll need to be on your toes and actually activate the burst while in your E skill and when you're below 50% HP, because I didn't mention this, but this chart is using the damage of your burst when you're below 50% HP. And so this is a good set if you have substats that are really good on the Noblesse Oblige, especially when it comes to energy recharge. Ideally, you'd want enough recharge so that you get it back with every E skill rotation. Otherwise, I think you'd be better off with a more consistent artifact set. Next is the 4-piece Gladiator set, and this ranks among the lowest out of all of the artifacts artifact sets. This does make sense because we're only boosting the damage of our normal attacks. And now you might be thinking, but I just said we don't get our burst every time we use our E skill, so wouldn't this out damage those sets if we don't have energy recharge? And this is true, but with this playstyle, you are only using normal attacks and no charged attacks, which also means that you won't be getting any Blood Blossom procs, which will lower the overall damage output of this set. These charts, they show charged attack and Blood Blossom, and if you're completely ignoring that, we'd have to remove that damage from these charts, and overall the damage is going to go down. So personally, I would not use this set on Hu Tao. Next is the Lavawalker set, and this set I can't really use those graphs that I was using before to make a fair comparison, so I had to modify them so that they show reaction only damage and no reaction damage to be fair for the playstyle of the Lavawalker set. So in this first chart, I am showing no elemental reactions, and clearly the Lavawalker set wins because that 35% damage boost is the highest of all the other set bonuses, and it applies to her entire kit. The second chart, however, is only reactions. I only included elemental reaction damage because if you're using any other artifact set, you should be utilizing Vaporize or Melt, and most of your attacks are going to be vaporized or melted. And here, the Lavawalker set underperforms every set because you cannot get that 35% damage boost with elemental reactions, because the enemy won't be initially affected by Pyro, but by either Hydro or Cryo. Additionally, if you're using a character like Fischl on your team, she might clear the Pyro from enemies, and you're going to lose out on that 35% damage bonus. So this set also limits the team comps that you can use with Hu Tao. Basically, the passive becomes inconsistent if you use other elements. So I would only consider this set if you won't be vaporizing or melting, but I think that Hu Tao's damage really shines when you use elemental reactions, so I personally would not recommend this set. The next set is the Heart of Depth set. I don't really have anything else to say about this set because it's just not very good. It ranks among the worst with the 4-piece Gladiator set. It does not give her any boost to her pyro damage, elemental reaction damage, and her burst, so it's going to hurt her overall damage output. I would really only use this artifact set if you have really good substats. Next is a 2-piece Crimson Witch set with the 2-piece Wanderer set. This set is not being recommended by anyone as far as I have seen because there is some kind of stigma behind Elemental Mastery being a bad stat. However, the reason why Elemental Mastery was considered bad was because attack was just a better stat. Since Hu Tao scales more efficiently with HP, Elemental Mastery has a place in her builds. This set actually ranks very highly and is very consistent, like the 2-piece Crimson and 2-piece Gladiator set. It slightly underperforms it in this first chart if we don't include elemental burst damage and reactions, but when we do, it is the clear second place artifact set. That simple 80 elemental mastery really enhances the damage of her elemental reaction better than an 18% attack boost. Since her base attack is so low, this actually makes conceptual sense, and Hu Tao loves elemental reactions, so you'll be seeing the benefit of this a lot in your gameplay. I highly recommend using this set if you don't have the 4-piece Crimson Witch set. Which leads into our last artifact set, which is the 4-piece Crimson Witch set. And you've probably already seen it as we've been looking through the charts. The 4-piece Crimson Witch set is the overall best artifact set, even though we don't get the full 3 stacks from the 4-piece set. Our limit is only 1 stack or 22.5% extra pyro damage bonus due to how her E skill works. We can only reach 1 stack with this because of the cooldown on her E skill, and Blood Blossoms also do not give us extra stacks. I tested this myself, and the wording on the skill actually says when you use your elemental skill, so basically you only get the stack once you activate her E skill. The 15% extra Vaporize and Melt damage and 7.5 extra pyro damage bonus pretty much enhances her whole kit, so yes, it turns out that this set is definitely her best in slot. But you still shouldn't count out 2-piece Crimson with 2-piece Gladiator or 2-piece Crimson with 2-piece Wanderers because they are certainly not terrible choices. So if you've got the substats on Gladiator or Wanderer sets, then you can definitely consider using those in place of the Crimson Witch set. Because we all know how terrible it is to farm for artifact sets and just get terrible substats because of RNG. So save some headache and look through your collection and see if you can build a set with what you have. Alright guys, this is pretty much the end of the video. I hope you guys learned something new, and if you did, leave me a like. And if you're really excited about Hu Tao, then please consider subscribing to the channel because I've got lots more Hu Tao content coming. Alright guys, until next time, I will see you guys later.